Good morning, friends. I'll share with you an idea, a thought for you to think about. Could you afford a 30% market decline? So, the way I've always looked at this is I look at my portfolio and I said, if the market goes down 30%, how would I be able to pay my mortgage? All right, so hear me out for just a second. Most people's biggest debt and biggest bill, frankly, is their mortgage, which is why if you don't have a mortgage, you're so far ahead of the game, man. But a 30% decline in the market isn't extraordinary. That's not doomsday. It happens occasionally. I mean, it just happened this past year. But let's couch a 30% decline by your income stopping. All right. Sorry about my haven't showered yet. Just taking care of the dogs, doing my early morning preps for the day ahead. And I've been thinking about this video because I remember talking to that hygienist, and her husband got laid off and can't find work. And so a year and a half goes by, he still can't find work. Now, hygienist is not that's a specialized profession. You make pretty good money as a hygienist, but it's taxing on your body. And this woman's been doing it for over 2 decades. I mean, so it grinds your back, it grinds your neck because you're bending over people. It's a tough gig. So while she's making okay money, I mean, certainly not freaking setting the world on fire. And the husband can't find work because he's a mid 50s-year-old guy. Um, you can't find work in a year and a half, man. So they're burning through their accounts. Now I don't know, you know. So I just think about it like this. I just think for me, what happens if YouTube banned my account and I no longer had income coming in from YouTube, which means a lot of you guys won't find me either. So I no longer have income coming in from people hiring me for my financial planning. At the same time, the markets fell 30%. So let's just say for simplicity, I got 200,000 bucks in an investment account just to make this easy. Let's say my mortgage is 2,000 bucks a month. So now I got no income coming in, and I'm pulling money from my investments at 2,000 bucks a month. All right, so that's just to pay my mortgage. And now the market is down 60,000 bucks because we took a 30% hit. So now I'm down to 140. All right, so I'm 140 in my account. I have no income coming in. I got $2,000 a month mortgage, and that's 24,000 I got to pull out. On top of that, I got to pay tax on that 24,000 bucks because it's in an IRA. So most of us have the bulk of our assets in an IRA. So I mean, so for just simplicity, if I have 2,000 a month mortgage, that's 24. That's 4, 5, basically 6 years I could cover my mortgage. That's just it. That's just my mortgage, though. That doesn't include anything else. I mean, can you make that happen? I mean, could I find a job within 6 years? Sure, but I still have other expenditures I got to come up with. You see what I'm saying? So that's the way I look at it. I say, look, and this is the way I always look at it. I say, the worst case scenario, I lose my job and the markets go down 30%. Not likely to happen at the same time. It's likely to happen like we had last year that the markets went down 30%, but you didn't lose your job. In that case, you just stayed the course. Or was probably even more likely is the markets go down 30% and your income drops off, which is exactly what happened to me last year. I started the year freaking booming, and then when the markets fell, I was like, oof, it was tough. I mean, I was still making money, but it wasn't nearly what I did the first 2 months of the year. So it was a little bit scary. They're like, you see what I'm saying? As everyone else was, because we had no clue. It was just a scary time. The markets come back, and that makes people more willing to spend. It's called the wealth effect. But when the markets are down 30, 35% in a month's time, and people are like, man, I don't know if we're going to keep bottom, if we bottom out or not. People are less likely to part with money. Makes sense. It's the reverse wealth effect. So you think about it for you. I guess I'm sorry. You think about it for you. You say, okay, markets drop 30%. I lose my job. How long can I sustain myself? Well, for me, I got enough to last long enough to pay my mortgage and most of my other bills that I should be able to, for my family, that we should be able to get by for a few years. And as long as I have that, I should be able to get by for a few years. I'm pretty comfortable being 100% invested, if that makes sense. Because both those things aren't likely to happen. And frankly, I'm only 50. My wife is 46. If they were both to happen, uh, I could find a job someplace. She could find a job someplace. So at least pay, get some money coming in to pay the food bill and stuff like that. It's interesting about the mortgage too, because I remember when I was in banking. I don't know if they still do this anymore, but let's just say you had $900 in a checking account, and you just wrote 5 checks, one for $800, which is your mortgage, and four for $200 each. All right. So you think what the bank would do is they'd clear the 4 checks for $200 each because you have $900 in there, and that way you bounce your $800 bill. Does that make sense? Your $800 check. They don't do that. I mean, I don't know if they do it anymore. I don't know how it works anymore. But back in the day, they'd always clear the largest bill or the largest check because they'd say that was most likely your most important check, i.e. your mortgage. Of course, it was never, it was all smoke and mirrors because what they're doing is they're trying to bounce those 4 checks so they can make NSF fees, non-sufficient funds fees. But they couch it like, oh no, we want to clear your biggest check because that's probably your mortgage. I don't know if they can still do that or not. That was such a snake in the grass stuff. I'll never forget that. And then I remember when I was at banking, you talk to your boss. He goes, well, why did you clear those 4 and not the mortgage? Don't you know the mortgage could be their most important bill? You're like, yeah, but it's going to cost them $120 if they bounce 4 checks versus $30 if they bounce one. Well, I was like, come on, man, because non-sufficient funds actually were a net or a positive to our P&L statement. Oh man, it's crazy. But we're in the community. We're part of the community. The bankers say, yeah, okay, nuts. I was actually at a bank where it was old school enough that you would actually call the client and say, look, I got some checks that are coming in. Are you going to be able to deposit some money to clear these or what? Because if you don't deposit some money to clear these checks, I'm going to have to bounce them. It's going to cost you $35. I'm sure those days are long gone in banking where they don't call the customer in advance to bounce a check because that was hometown banking at its best. But now the bank's just like the sweet, sweet NSF money. Anyway, so that's something to think about. You need to have enough. I mean, I don't know what your situation is, but if you have a mortgage, for me, I always look at it. How long do I can cover this mortgage while I have no income coming in and the markets are down 30%? And frankly, if it looked like I would need to, that's the thing too. Is like talk to this lady, the hygienist. They have a house that's paid for. So I mean, they could sell it, but they still got to live someplace. Does that make sense? They could sell it to downsize to get some equity out of the house, but they still got to live someplace. The cost to sell, the cost to relocate, you still got to buy something. That might buy them another year's time, but man, it's not as easy to just move. That's not. Everyone says, well, just move to a cheaper house. Easier said than done, man. Anyway, so just something I think about a lot actually. Do you have enough to cover, or how long can your investments stand a 30% decline while you have a mortgage coming in if you have no income? That's again, that is the vicious cycle there. No income, market's going down 30%, and you still got your same bills to pay. Think about it like that.